Brothers and sisters, we are making a correction uh, in the podcast for the Blueprint Reveal, Ep.7. I made a mistake and said that Bureau Kane was a warding inside of the one of the Alabama prison system. But Nathan Bureau Kane is the commissioner of the Mississippi Department of Corrections and the former warden at the Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola and West Feliciano Parish, north of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He worked there for 21 years from January 1995 until his resignation in 2016. He is now currently the commissioner of the Mississippi Department of Correction. Thank you, and I sincerely apologize for the incorrect information that was given.
Any views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by the journalists and guests are solely that of the journalists and guests and do not reflect the views, opinion, policies, or positions of Positive Lifestyle Management.
Greetings, brothers and sisters, men and women all around the world. Welcome to another episode of the Blueprint Reveal podcast. I'm your brother Fiji.
I'm your brother Blayland G. Plenty much
All
love.
right. All right. Thank you all, man. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode, man. Today, we are dealing with Ep.7. We're going to be dealing with the trap, an American dream. So we're going to get straight into this here because this is the chapter that we was telling you all about when we initially started the Blueprint Reveal. This is the chapter right here, but this is the point of this chapter, the section that we was talking about. This is what we're going to really have to delve into. So now, Brother Bladen.
Yes, sir.
Let's ask a question, man.
Uh-huh.
We always hear about this American dream, the American dream, the American dream, right?
Right.
What is the American dream? According to how society set the standards on the American dream, what is the American dream?
The American dream is painted to be having a house, the picket fence, a dog, a cat, 2.5 children, happily married, family car, husband got a car, wife got a car, kids taken care of, bank account straight. That's the idea they project.
Now you say 2.5 children. How you get 2.5 children?
Two
What
born,
happened?
one in the baby, in the belly.
So okay, all right. So one in the belly. So you finna.
Yep.
All right, so that's the American dream, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we all grew up with this image of the American dream. So we be talking as in our age bracket coming up. You talking about watching Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, The Brady Bunch,
Facts.
The Partridge Family. You know what I'm saying? All these different shows that was coming on back then, it was showing the American dream with the children's, with children's coming up. As they start coming back up into the 80s, as we start coming back up into the 80s, we get up into Punky Brewster and Blossom and the Cosby Show and Different World, and these are the shows that we're talking about then, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to take this opportunity, we're going to discuss the American dream according to the blueprint. So everybody pull your blueprints out. We on page 23 and follow along with the reading. And we're going to break it down as we're going along. The trap, an American dream. So coming through the door, the blueprint is letting us know that it's a trap. It ain't the 2.5 children. It ain't the car, the 2-car garage, the dog named Spot, a cat named Meow, and a white picket fence, and a 3-4 bedroom house, and all that. It ain't all that. The so-called middle class would be the American dream, right?
Yep.
All right. So we already see it's a trap. They say most incarcerated youth have grown up without any comprehension of the inner workings of their mind. Comprehension, which would be meaning understanding, then, right?
Yep.
They don't have no understanding on the inner workings of their mind. This is most incarcerated youth. Because you got to think, when they are taking the youth off the street, their minds aren't even fully developed yet. And so they don't have no inner workings. They don't understand how the inner workings of their mind supposed to operate or operates.
Question.
Yes.
Can that also be saying that they have no idea of their own intelligence?
Exactly, because they don't understand it. Because the inner workings of your mind is basically going to deal with the intel that your mind intakes and give back out. So if you don't have no type of understanding or no comprehension on your own inner workings on your mind, that means that you're not even aware of how intelligent you are.
Okay.
It is frightening to visualize what the future holds for these youngsters. For them, it is a struggle just to get a GED. But it is even worse when one has gotten his GED and still is incapable of reading and writing properly. There go that
Mhm.
word again. There go that word
Proper.
again. Properly, correctly. So they can get their GED. You got to
Hmm.
know the basic arithmetic. I think back when I was coming up in school, if I'm not mistaken, you had to get an overall score of 229.
Yeah, roughly.
You had to get what's it, 225, 225. Because it's five, I think it's five areas of the test. I
Yep.
think it's 5 or 6 areas of the test, and each one of them is worth so many points. You got to get,
I know it was 5 when I was taking it.
yeah, so I think it's like 50 points or something. No, yeah, I think it's like 50 points or something, man, per or 25, something like that. But
Hmm.
anyway, they get the GED because you're learning how to just remember things. That's all you're learning how to do. You're not learning how to think. You're not learning how your mind operates when you're
Yep.
going through this GED process. You're just trying to remember formulas, how to go about just to get 45 or 50 on each test, so that way you can move, so that way you can get your GED. So you're
Yep.
not learning the correct way on how to read or write.
That's true. I know that for a fact. I got my GED, and I couldn't read and write properly even after I got it.
Mm, like most of us. Doing simple math problems correctly or even thinking in a logical manner. Education in prison is microscopic of what is happening in schools across America. So schools is basically preparing you for prison, and prison is only is perpetuate what the schools have done, because the prisons is preparing you to come back.
Yep.
Okay,
Recidivism.
okay. Our youth are being programmed with the hope that they will become willing subjects of the system. Willing subjects of the system. Robots. Robots of the system.
So, with that being said, the mind is indirectly programmed to turn to a life of crime so that they can go to prison.
Exactly. That's what education in the school does. It's preparing you
Mhm.
for a future life in prison. And then when you get to prison, the education that you're receiving is going to prepare you to come back, because it's not preparing you to stay out.
That's true.
It's not preparing you to stay out.
You got
Because
to prepare
most people,
yourself for that.
there you go. Because most people, when they go to prison, they're not being prepared to stay out of prison. They give you all type of incentives to get out of prison. So you spend a lot of your time trying to get all the incentives, all the good time, whatever they got available to get out of prison, but you're not preparing yourself while you're there to stay out of prison. And let me tell you why I know this here,
What that?
because it was me. I've been
Mm.
there. I've been there. So I understand it. I did everything that I could to stay out. I mean, to get out, but I wasn't preparing myself to stay out until this last time I went to prison. It was, so they are not being taught how to think positively of themselves, nor are they learning how to manage their lives after school. Rather, in their leisure time, our youth are becoming robots of street language, fashion, and fads. Their ambitions are fed to them through the concept of it's the end thing to do. Let me read that again. Their ambitions are fed to them through the concept of it's the end thing to do. The clever statements and sharp retorts of Hollywood cops and robbers are highly fashionable to a developing teenage mind. Phrases such as make my day have become more than just harmless, clever television scripts. Our youth are taking such phrases and turning them into attitudes. I can relate to that.
Yeah, I about to say the same.
And the reason I can relate to that is because we all grew up with these attitudes. If I make my day, step out there if you want to. Step out there. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you.
Yep.
So that's that Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson type of
Yeah.
attitude.
Vigilante justice mentality.
Yes. Consequently, they are walking in a John Wayne stride, carrying a Clint Eastwood pistol and hoping that someone will make my day. Think about our youth today.
Yeah.
Think about them today. Guns are so more readily accessible today, and everybody got what they call it, a 30 popper
Yep. 30 Papa with what they call them switches and stuff.
with a switch on them. And they're
Yep.
young and they walking around hoping you make their day. They wake up in the morning like, man, I hope somebody will get out of pocket so I can put this in them. I can put
Yep.
something hot in them. That's how they wake up. That's how I
They
woke
look
up.
forward to the conflict.
Dewey, I looked forward to it every day. Every day I woke up, I look forward to it. This is only a small example of how our youth are being misled through the media. However, it also illustrates why a new concept on life is needed. Television and its commercials is what sells the concept of chasing the American dream. This is well and good for the promotion, advertisement, and sales of the stuff that dreams are made of. However, in comparison, television rarely describes positive and realistic means by which the American dream is attainable.
I'm going back to my movie Rolodex, right?
Yep.
And I'm comparing what the blueprint is saying about that. And I really can't think of a movie that actually shows a person how to achieve the American dream at all.
Somebody in our upbringing,
Yeah.
if they had television shows on, they were showing you good times on how it was to struggle. Sanford and Son on how it was to struggle. Uh, they give you a fake, unrealistic dream of the Cosby Show,
Yeah.
a piece of the Cosby Show on how that was. But it wasn't no way on how you go about getting it steps by steps by steps by steps.
And you know what's crazy about the Cosby Show?
What's that?
Even though Bill was a doctor and Claire was a lawyer, you never saw either one of them at work.
We never seen Claire at work. You would see Bill come out of the doctor's office, out of his office which I guess was in his house with his doctor coat on, his
That's
hospital coat.
that
That's it.
there
But you
was no
never
real
seen
visualization of it.
no, you never seen the wife You never seen her in the office. You never seen how she made it there. You never seen that. Through television, the burning desire to achieve material success is planted early in a poor person's mind. Yet his only real frame of reference as to how he will acquire these things is the ghetto. Most of his prime examples of success are the dope dealers, pimps, and whores, hustlers, junkies, thieves, and con artists.
Mm-hmm.
Look what we see every day. Everything that is being said in the blueprint is what we see on a daily basis. So those become our role models on what the American dream is. If you seeing the drug dealer with the big cars and the jewelry, the nice house, the fine ladies, whoever he wanted, and the fly sisters to get every man that she wanted, because you had females just as tough drug dealers as men.
That's facts.
So she can get any man she wants, same way he can get any woman that she wants. Then you got the pimps, the prostitute, the stick-up man, the con artists, everybody. This is what
Yeah.
we see. This is what we see on a daily basis. So this became our model or our frame of reference on how to achieve the so-called American dream, which is no more than a nightmare. Because where did it
Yep.
lead us? It was
Jail or
death,
death.
jail, or death, or sprung out on drugs somewhere. Of course, he looks up to the Michael Jordans and Michael Jacksons of the world, but he does not know Michael Jordan. Sometime I dream that
Mm-hmm.
he is me. That's all it is. It's a dream. Because you
That's
can't
fact.
touch Michael Jordan. You got 12 persons, you got 12 people on the team, right?
Right.
So you got 12 people on the team. I think you can get 3 that's undressed. So let's go 15. You got 15 people on the team. You got 30 teams, right? You got
Uh-huh.
0, 0, 5, 1, 4, 3. You got 450 NBA players, right? Total. Total. How many youth do you got living in the so-called ghettos of America?
Way more than that.
So therefore, what's the realization, a likelihood of everybody gonna be like Mike?
Well, she gotta look at how many people in the hood that can't play basketball. That eliminates them right there.
Yeah. And then the ones who can play, you know, so the
They
ones that
caught up
can't.
in the streets in some shape, form, or fashion. If they not fully focused.
Mhm. He said he cannot touch Michael Jordan and can only see these people on television. Opposite this reality is the dope dealer who is always available and visible and can be touched and talked to daily. That's what I grew up around, man. Dope dealers, pushers, con artists, those that's out there in the streets, the gangbangers. I was one.
Mm-hmm.
And to show you all how it affected me. Now, I'm not blaming nothing on nobody. I'm just showing you the results. Even if you have an education or you get an education, how your education can turn against you if you don't have the proper education, the proper education for our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
This is an order. This is my court order. As you all can see, it was received Cook County Public Defender's Office. I ain't had no money to get a lawyer. I went to trial without a lawyer. June 23rd, 1992. This is when the order came down. This is when they received it. Here's the order. The peoples of the state of Illinois. I was fighting against the whole state of Illinois versus Keith Taylor. Appeal from the Circuit Court of Cook County. That's the case number 90 CR 20808. Honorable Fred G. Serial Jr. I know many people have heard me mention Fred G. Serial. It says, following a jury trial, defendant Keith Taylor was convicted of armed violence and aggravated battery and sentenced to a 30-year prison term. On appeal, he contends that his sentence was excessive. Now, it goes to show you that the lawyer that was representing me on appeal, the only thing that she put in for was an excessive sentence. Not the evidence now. Not the evidence that against me, because all the stuff that was in the trial, it showed that it wasn't true. But we never attacked that because they say it went to the discretion of the jury to believe it or not. He said the evidence at trial established that on May 27, 1990, the defendant and his brother, who was never named, never arrested, never proven that I had a brother, nobody was ever on this case with me. I was by myself, attempted to rob Andre Calhoun and Calhoun's girlfriend. Mind you, I wasn't robbing. This was some gangbanging stuff. So when the dude gets shot, he say I tried to rob him, but it wasn't about no robbery. As Calhoun fled, the defendant fired 6 shots at him, striking him once in the back of his neck. Calhoun was hospitalized for several days, and at the time of trial, the defendant remained lodged in his neck. At defendant's sentencing hearing, Corinthian Matthews, which is named St. Pat, who is from the village. Now, they putting these people's names in. These dudes are rats. St. Pat is a rat. Lil Pooh was a rat. May he rest in peace, I guess. I guess he dead now. He was a rat. They was into the street life. This is what happened to him, and this is how they get me. Testified in aggravation that 4 days after this shooting, the defendant accused him of breaking into his house. First, I tried to rob somebody. Then I said somebody broke into my house. When Matthews denied this and began to walk away, the defendant fired 3 or 4 shots at him. One bullet struck Matthews in the back and penetrated his lung. He was hospitalized for 3 weeks, and one of his lungs was removed. The state also noted that in August of 1984, the defendant was convicted of robbery and received 3 years probation. In March of 1985, he was arrested for possession of a stolen motor vehicle and was subsequently convicted of that offense, receiving a 3.5-year prison term. He was also found to have violated his probation for the robbery and was sentenced to a 3 years prison term for that offense. In mitigation, defense counsel noted that the defendant was 23 years old, had attended 2 years of college, and was supporting his 2 children at the time of his arrest. The circuit court noted that it had considered the arguments of counsel and the facts, including the shooting of Corinthians Matthews, as well as defendant's education. The court stated, now watch how my education used against me. Watch how they use my education against me, bro. 2 years of college. That's about 4 more years at least than most young men that appear before me in this court on charges of felonies. I see no reason from your background why you should be here. And yet I had 2 people whose lives were in the hands of the Lord. They used God on me. Hands of the Lord, and he left them here on earth instead of taking them as a result of your misconduct. In order not to depreciate the seriousness of the offense or your conduct, in order to protect society, I would hereby sentence you to a term of 30 years, Illinois Department of Correction. The man sentenced me to 30 years to the Illinois Department of Correction. If you go to the back, and this is what it said, why I got highlighted. This is the appeals court making this order. It says, contrary to defendant's contention on appeal, we also find that the circuit court properly considered defendant's educational background to be an aggravating factor. So my education was an aggravating factor against me, as this demonstrated a lack of rehabilitative potentials. So the courts ruled that I was unrehabilitated. I couldn't be rehabilitated based on my education. You know why, brother?
Why?
Because I didn't have a proper education for our purpose. My education wasn't centered around the education of economical, politicals, and economical realities of Black America. My education was centered around going into a courtroom, learning one plus one is two, two plus two is three, and so forth and so forth and so forth. My education never prepared me on how to deal with the realities of where I was from and what was needed in my community and what my responsibility was supposed to be. Like most of our young men and women that's caught up in the system today.
Okay, hold up. So because of your level of education at the time of your crime, they deem your educational level to be the reason why you couldn't be rehabilitated.
Yes.
Now that's cold. They okay, because we know that the lack of education or illiteracy often leads people to a life of crime.
Right.
Now it's being said that your education makes it pretty much impossible for you to come out of a life of crime.
Right. So I'm stuck. My education, my a lack of education, a lack of education is the reason why most people commit crimes.
Mm-hmm.
My education was used against me because of it was saying that I couldn't come out of a lack of crime, that I was going to always be a criminal.
That's crazy.
And unknowingly, I took on that persona because I was like, man, F the system. If this is how they feel, I'm going to give you what you feel. That's the persona that I took on. That's the persona that most young men and women take on.
Damn. So we recognize the lack of proper education in that situation. Now, in that demonstration, the proper education of education, economic, political, social development, right? So, as an example, let's just say you would have had the proper education at that time, which I would say in your case would be dealing with law. That would have better prepared you to deal with that situation from a right standpoint. Because clearly your lawyer wasn't fighting for you.
Clearly, the lawyer wasn't fighting for me, and if I would have had the proper education for our purpose, I wouldn't have never been in that situation to begin with.
Okay, all right,
See,
okay,
because the proper education for our purpose would lead us totally away from that particular thought process or lifestyle.
okay. So what's being expressed for real that as I'm listening is get the proper education on how economics work will lead you to financial stability.
Yes,
That financial stability and that proper education will then allow you to better understand how politics flow because you're more
exactly,
involved with the economy, which ties into politics.
exactly.
So once you know the idea of who gets what, when, and how, that can lead you into better dealing with things on the social scale.
Yes, your social growth and development.
Okay, all right.
It says at the bottom of page 24, the pimp's fancy cars are real, not commercials. These negative elements of our community are the real heroes because in the minds of ghetto youth, they have used their wit to fulfill the American dream. Star athletes, entertainers, and other such role models are so far removed and inaccessible that they are not considered part of our youth real world.
That's true.
For instance, The Cosby Show was the highest rated sitcom on television and is filled with humorous examples of black role modeling. Still, The Cosby Show is purely entertainment, and the average ghetto youth would quickly counter that many of the most successful athletes and entertainers still have to pay the dope man eventually. What Rick James said, cocaine is a hell of a drug, right?
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Look at all the entertainers in Hollywood. that have died from drug uses or that's using drugs right now.
True.
Who they got to go see?
They gotta go see the dope man.
Okay. In that single statement lies the potential death and incarceration of a whole generation, and throughout the ghettos of America, dope dealers, pimps, and whores, hustlers, thieves, and con artists are becoming as American as apple pie. So we looking at the dope dealers, the pimps, the pushers, the con artists, the whores, everybody. We looking at them as our role models because that is who we see on a daily basis. Most of the time, a lot of them are inside our homes.
Indeed.
So we wake up looking at them. We all during the day we see them, and then at night we see them before we go to sleep. So whatever we see, that becomes our guide. They become our guide.
You know what that carries me back to?
What's that?
The what they call it, black exploitation movies.
Black exploitation movies.
Yeah.
That
Superfly and the Mac and Coffee Brown and all that.
can you realize when they start coming in?
What, like the 70s?
The early 70s, right after they was destroying the Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
So they started hitting us with the black exploitation movies, the Dolomites and all that.
Mm.
So now you're getting away from the revolutionary thought process and they putting you into the pimps, drug dealers mentality, the iceberg slams and all of you getting into that mentality. That's the mentality that you're getting into.
So they
So
set the
now
foundation for the 80s back in the 70s then.
in the 70s, because remember the war on drugs started with who?
Ronald Reagan.
No,
It didn't?
the
Well,
war
for
on
my
drugs,
era it did.
it started with Nixon.
Shit, you teaching me something new. I ain't know that.
Yeah, Nixon started the war on drugs. Ronald Reagan perfected it. Nixon was the one that started the war on drugs, bro.
Did not know that.
Yes. He was the one that started it. Reagan perfected it.
See, the most I know about Nixon is what they call Watergate.
That's afterwards.
Oh, see,
That,
that's the most
that's
I know about
yeah,
Nixon.
yeah. Nixon started the war on drugs. Go back and do some research on Richard Tricky Dick Nixon.
Gotcha.
Yeah, do your research here. You'll find out. You know what I'm saying? Where the war on drugs started and who coined that phrase, the war on drugs. It says, in povertized America, these negative elements have become the heroes and role models of a lost generation. Because most of that youth, when this was written, these youth that was coming up today, these are the ones who was in their 12, 13, 14 years old. So now these are the ones, okay, watch this.
Talk
How
to
old
me.
were you in 95? Let's say 95. How old
18.
were you? You was 18 in
Yep.
95. So now we talking now today, this what, 20 some years later?
Yep.
And you what, 46?
47, 46, something like that. I forgot.
46? Okay, one of
Yeah.
them. Now look at your generation and
Mm-hmm.
see who they was talking about, who the leadership was talking about. You were the youth,
Yep.
because you was a teenager.
Yep.
In this blueprint, they was talking about you. They was talking about me, even though I was 20 some. I was 28 at that time.
Mm.
Yeah, I was 28 at that time. 95.
Now that I'm looking back and doing the math and I'm seeing some things, right? Because when I was coming up in my most formidable years, as they call it, between 88 and 93, 94, we had Boys in the Hood, we had Colors, we had Menace to Society. We had those kind of movies.
Still black
Same.
exploitation.
Exactly.
You seeing a bunch of brothers and sisters in the neighborhood killing each other.
Yep.
We had the Tony Montanas. You know,
Mm.
that's who we had.
And I noticed how my environment began to shift and be geared towards how those movies were.
because that's what we're seeing on a daily basis.
Damn, boy, they did it. They did a number with that.
Man, I can remember, bro, and this the honest truth, bro. In
Hmm.
Cook County, and anybody that's from Cook County in my age bracket would tell you, man, people was getting caught with 7, 8, 9 ounces of cocaine and getting probation, man. They weren't going to prison then. You know what they was doing?
With that.
They was baking a cake for us, getting all them convictions under our belt, and then watch how the
Mm.
federal prison system start flooding it. The feds start flooding. They start hitting us with all them long prison sentences.
Because technically, by default, you're a repeat offender.
Or repeat offender. Because they knew once you got probation, you're going to get a slap on the wrist, you're going to go right back out and do the same thing. And then what were most of us doing? We wasn't keeping up with the laws and everything that was being passed through in the General Assembly. We didn't know about no new
Yeah.
laws was being passed. All we know that we was going to go to jail and get a slap on the wrist and get right back out.
Yeah.
Then we start going to jail and they was keeping us in jail for a long period of time. People used to get probation for guns in Cook County, man. Used to get fines, man. If you got
Mm.
caught with a gun, get caught with a gun now.
Yeah, you gone for a while off the
They
break.
they baked the cake for us, bro.
We ain't even see it coming.
Didn't even have a clue on what was going on because you know why?
Why that?
We we did not have the proper education for our purpose.
So, in retrospect, with that being the case, that means they're baking a whole other cake all over again for the next generation.
Right now, they're baking a brand new cake. Look how they and relax the law, then let a lot of peoples out of the feds, then let a lot of peoples out of the states, and they deal with a lot. They've been dealing with prison reform, they've been dealing with all this stuff, right?
Hmm.
Now you start seeing states going back in now, changing their laws all over again, making new laws because they understand that people's and got back out here and they have made stuff readily accessible now. They got a drug out here called fentanyl, and peoples are going becoming infatuated with this fentanyl.
Yep.
Peoples are becoming infatuated with methamphetamines, the meth stuff. Meth has become the new crack. So when I first went in the feds, you ain't see too many Asiatics in the feds for meth. Right prior to me getting ready to come home, like 3, 4, maybe 5 years of me before I started to come home, you
Hmm.
start seeing an influx of Asiatics coming inside of the prison systems, man, for meth cases. After they changed the crack laws, now you start seeing more Asiatics come in with meth. So meth has
Okay.
become the new crack. And they give you just as they're giving you just as much time for meth as they give you for crack.
Yep. It's
Meth,
a cake coming with candles on it.
meth is infatuating. I'm not even infatuating. What word I'm looking for? Infection.
It's dominating is what it's doing.
It's another word that well, I can't get it right now. Excuse me, y'all can't get it. But uh, it's infesting our community. That's the word I'm looking for. Infesting. It's infesting our communities.
Yeah. That is doing.
Meth.
That is doing. So if we able to see down the line the cake coming, then it's on us to prevent the youth from falling into that trap all over again.
Hence the blueprint revealed. Hence PLM. That's what we're doing. We're trying to prevent people from making the same mistakes that we made in our past. Because it's the same playbook.
Hmm.
It's the same play. It's just dressed up different. That's all. It's the same thing.
How the church folks say the devil don't change his tricks.
Man, listen. A leopard can't change his spots either, right?
That's facts.
Can a lion change his whiskers?
Nope.
All right, then. It's the same playbook, man.
Mm.
They start letting the feds listen. You know what the feds spend a lot of their money at?
Well,
Health, medical. They got medical facility. They got a lot of older peoples inside the Federal Bureau of Prison, right? So they
mm-hmm.
spend a lot of money on medical. So they start letting older brothers out of prison. They start letting older men and women out of prison because it costs them more money to take care of somebody that they get up in their elder years. And guess what they have done?
What's that?
They are flooding the system now with younger prisoners. It's the same
Mm.
thing in state joints.
Yeah, that's facts. I seen that.
Man, in some of them joints, they don't care, like Angola and a lot of them other joints, man. Man, they got cemeteries in the back of the joint, man. They gonna bury you in the cemetery. You're gonna always be a prisoner.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't even want to let your dead body go.
From what I heard, they get insurance money off stuff like that anyway.
I don't know for sure, but I know this here. They got the warden that was Angola, Bureau Kane. He's a
Mm-hmm.
warden in one of them Alabama prisons. He's a warden in one of them Alabama prisons now. Bureau Kane. I think that's his name. Yep, Warden Kane. So
I
he
gotta
went
look
from the
him up.
yes, yes, bro, yes. It's that serious out here, man. Uh, it says the main question that confronts society is what can be done to change the negative direction of our youth? That is the question.
Mm-hmm.
For those who believe in the six principles of growth and development, and perhaps for all of society, the answer lies in our ability to perceive the vision of Larry Hoover and work towards making it a reality.
Mm.
I am making Mr. Larry Hoover's vision a reality. I've served over 33 years of my life inside of the United States prison industrial complex. That means on juvenile levels, county levels, state levels, federal levels. That's a total of 33 years of my life inside of a system. So now I'm able to come home to say, hey man, you don't want that. Sister, you don't want that. Brother, you don't want that.
I have to ask you a question,
Shoot.
and it's going back to your case. By them saying your education made you unable to be rehabilitated, you out now, and you're not going back. But what or how did you rehabilitate? If they said if you couldn't do it,
The blueprint, the black and white, sitting down, studying it. It became a study guide for me, bro. I was able to really look deep down inside myself. Because in the Federal Bureau of Prison, there are no TVs in your cell. You don't have TVs in your cell. So when you go in that cell and you lock down, all you could do, you can listen to your radio or whatever. But most people listen to the radio, they still reading, they still studying. I had the opportunity to study. I had the opportunity to learn thyself. I had the opportunity to really break down what the blueprint was about. And when I was able to, once I really start understanding what the blueprint was about, what this new concept was about, then it allowed me to really see myself within the framework of the new concept on what was being relayed to us. But it was talking at that moment directly to me. So I went and got the proper education for our purpose. That's what
Okay.
that's what it has done for me. Them last 13 years inside the Federal Bureau of Prison. That's what it did for me, bro. It allowed me to see the true vision of Larry Hoover because it allowed me to see where he was at. He was stuck inside of a mountain, bro. He's stuck inside of a mountain. Him and Mr. Shell and others, other political prisoners of all race, color, and creed. They stuck inside of mountains, bro. That's how I was able to rehabilitate myself. Because in order to rehabilitate yourself, you got to be habilitated first. So getting deep inside of the concept and start studying and writing and reading and looking and studying other schools of thoughts and reading stuff that I probably didn't necessarily agree with. I read a book and that you would never know that most people would never read.
What's that?
It's called the Turner Diaries.
The who?
The Turner Diaries. And
Okay.
that is what what's the guy name that blew up the building in Oklahoma? Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah.
That's the book that he studied. That's the book that all militias study. That's the book that the Ku Klux Klan. That's the book that all the white supremacists read and study, man. They read and study the Turner Diaries. I had to read that book, bro. I read that book. So
Mm.
I could understand what a mindset was at. Bro, I was reading stuff and studying things, bro, that most people didn't think that I should be reading and studying. Man, I got so
So
many. Uh-huh.
by you digging into the blueprint and the black and white the way you did, right? And you begin to see yourself in those writings. So those books were like a mirror for you.
Yes.
So in essence, when you went to get well, what we call the proper education for our purpose, right? That means you went in search of education. You didn't just sit back and accept what was given to you.
No, no.
So
Because
you
because what
you
was given to me, bro.
uh
Gonna finish.
yeah.
Go on. Go.
So I want to word this the right way because I want to express the point properly. You actually had to test the bounds of your mind, like push it beyond its comfort zone.
Challenge my thinking.
That's what I was trying to the phrase I was trying to use. I couldn't think of it in the moment. So how did you adjust to challenging your mind? Like what was the spark that was like, you know what? I disagree with this wholeheartedly, but I'm still finna investigate it, read it, and learn it. Because I know some people might can't do that. So I'm trying to figure out what tools you use to open your mind up to accept it.
I took my personal feelings and my personal emotions out of it. Because in order to understand your enemy, you got to be able to study your enemy.
Hmm.
Because if you don't study the person that's your enemy, or what is your enemy, who's your enemy? Anyone who supports to condone the systematic warehousing and destruction of our peoples, our brothers are in essence the enemy, right? What
Right.
is our enemy? What is our number one enemy? We know that's
Illiteracy.
illiteracy. So I had
Yes.
to face that head on because I was ignorant to a lot of things, bro. I was ignorant, so I had to look at America. I had to look at the world from an open-minded view. I couldn't leave no stones unturned. Like, right, let's say right now,
Hmm.
when you be calling and we be talking, right? You're like, man, what you
Right.
doing, dear brother? I'd be like, I'm laying here in the bed, I'm watching the news,
Yeah.
or I'm laying here, I'm watching this here. I'm watching Fox. I'm watching this. I'm watching that. I'm just studying. Do I agree with it? No. Do I agree with a lot of that? No. But I have to be able to say, okay, Why they believe in this here? The same way people say, why do we believe in growth and development? If somebody asks you why you believe in growth and development, you got to be able to give them a favorable, truthful answer, right?
Right.
That's the point why people they can stand up and say why they believe in their particular thought process that they believe in. I just needed to understand it and to respect it, even though I might not agree with it, but I can respect it. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see it, but I don't agree with it. You know, I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
Okay. So it's like your first enemy you had to overcome was your own ignorance,
My own ignorance.
not just of yourself, but life around you.
That was the listen. Becoming get beyond my own self was the biggest hurdle because we are so trapped in our own personal thoughts and feelings that we think the world centers around us. So we become selfish in our own personal feelings and emotion, and we'll say, "Well, I feel and I believe and I my emotions was always me, 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 me."
Hmm.
Instead of just sitting back, analyzing what's going on around you and how everybody else view life and what they see, and not just be strictly about us. So you
Mm.
got to take your personal feelings out of it. Malcolm said something to the extent, and I'm not quoting this verbatim. Malcolm
Hmm.
said that if you want to know how other people's got over their got beyond their hurdles, their problem, study them and see what they did. See what they did to get past they personal hurdles in life. But we don't want to study. It's what somebody else did because we're afraid to study us. Study thyself. Know thyself. Study
Okay,
thyself. Uh-huh.
TP, for cut you off, no disrespect. You made me think of something, right? In the hood, in the streets, however you want to word it, we had this motto: real niggas don't change. We stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
And listen to what you're saying now and reading the blueprint, it puts something in my brain to realize that that phrase or the mentality of that phrase hinders a lot of people from actually being able to expand their thinking.
It stagnates your growth and development. And keeping that thought process leads you to uh uh, uh death, death, incarceration, and recidivism.
Hmm.
That's what that mentality leads, keeps you in. Real ninjas don't change. So what happened to the real ninjas? They either wind up dead, they wind up in jail, they get out of jail, they go back to jail, they get out of jail, they go back to jail, constant until they die, either in jail or on the street.
Okay, so that means I'm using us as an example. If I have a fear of changing, that's why I won't study anything outside of what I personally believe or what I personally feel. It's impossible for me to grow and develop.
Because you're putting yourself in a box with a lid over it. All right.
Hmm.
If you're afraid to leave a room, you in a room, you're afraid to leave that room. Everything that's about your life is inside of that room. What happens when you leave that room?
You're gonna freak out.
Let me show you something. Me and Mr. Murray,
Mm.
John E. Murray Jr., aka Lil John, aka the G Ski. We was talking. and we was discussing how when we was in prison, everything we had was in that little cell. Everything that we had was in that cell.
Yeah.
And then when we got out of prison, you know where I was sleeping at, bro?
Well,
On the edge of the bed, in one spot, in a big old king size bed. I slept in one spot. You know why? Because I was used to
institutionalized.
sleeping in one spot. All everything that I had, I was bringing in the bedroom. I was putting everything in the bedroom. It's a big old house, but I got everything in the bedroom
Mm.
because my world was so small. That's what happens, bro, when we don't allow ourselves to get out of that box of studying things that's beyond what immediately uh
Gratifies us.
gratifies us. We got to read some hard truths, man. Hold on for a second, bro. I'm gonna show
Yes,
you
sir.
something. Don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. You keep talking. I wanna pull this out. Uh where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? I had it out the other day. I had it. Oh, here it goes. Right here. It's right in front of me, bro. Look what else I got, bro. Look what else I read.
Crime and Punishment. I heard about that book.
The Illustrated Crime Encyclopedia. Bro, I study, bro. I study everything. This is
Okay.
another book that I recommend that people's read.
Getting
This
Rich
is
Trilogy.
this is three books in one.
Mm.
Bro, we have to read. We have to study. We have to, bro.
Okay, now I have a question.
Yes.
All right. When I was growing up, right, I met people that had a certain belief system and they stuck by it. And they wouldn't study anything else because they feared that it'd make them not believe what they were raised believing in. So I never figured out how to bring somebody out of that mentality.
You know what it is, bro?
What's that?
They are not based, their foundation is not solid. What they truly believe, what they say they believe,
Mm.
there's no, it's not solid. Let me tell you why. I'm a Moorish American. I'm a Moorish American. I'm a Moorish American Muslim. I believe in Islamism, but I could study Buddhism. I've studied Buddhism, Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism. I've studied Christianity. I've studied Islam. I've studied all different types of thoughts, man. I've even studied the stuff that the Aryans be studying, man. I read, bro, because it helps you understand other people. It helps you understand yourself. I'm not stuck in believing just not like let me say this. I'm solid in my foundation of who I am.
Right?
I'm solid in what I believe. I've studied, I've read the Vice Lord literature, I read Black gangster literature, I read soul literature, I've read Black disciple literature, I read Blackstone literature, I read all different organizational literature. I've studied all organizations. That's why a lot of people in these different organizations, they respect me because I understand that their literature and what they want is no different than what we want and what we're striving for. I can respect that because I'm solid in who I am and what I believe in. I believe in growth and development. If I go read something about some other organization, that don't mean that that's going to rock my foundation. It's only going to rock your foundation if your foundation is not solid. My foundation is solid on who I am. My foundation is solid at who I am as a member of this organization. My foundation is solid at who I am as a man. My spiritual foundation is solid. I'm solid.
Okay. And see, the reason why I presented these questions is because, okay, we understand that the American dream is a trap. And the only way they can trap us is if they box our minds in to their program. So we do with the proper education, and we have to first learn how to not just come out that box, but also how to come out of the programming as well.
Because you'll be a hamster on the wheel. That's the
Okay.
program. You become a hamster on the wheel. You're in that system that you program in that system to keep going around in circles like a hamster on a wheel.
Okay. So in order to come out of the programming of the trap, you have to study and read things that challenges that trap.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You got to go off and study things. How are you going to get to know somebody if you're not studying them?
That's true.
How are you going to get to understand somebody if you're not studying them?
Okay. You
So
answer my
for
question. I
all,
can't know it.
so for all America, I'm an avid reader. I'm an avid studier. I am an expert when it comes to street organizations. I'm an expert at it, bro. From Crips, Bloods. I've read that. I've read stuff about Crips. I read stuff about Bloods. I sat down and held long, deep discussions with members of other organizations and family, from the ABs to the Aztecas to the Pistoleros to the Serenos to everybody. The Mexican Mafia. I've talked to everybody. I've sat down and held deep discussions and explained to them why I believe in growth and development and what I stand on.
Okay. So with that being said, if not if the proper education for us and our purpose is education, economical, political, and social. So we have to study things in those fields to see how those fields work, to see the cause and effect in those fields. And then we have to also look at our current life and concerns of those avenues.
Exactly.
Got you. Just had to make sure that my mind was open to receive the information the right way.
Yes. Because you also speak for a whole, you also speak for a generation, bro. And that generation, the ones that don't know how to ask the questions, because I've my generation of me, I'm gonna say me. I'm just gonna say me. I ain't gonna say my generation because everybody in my generation don't know how to ask questions. If it's something that I don't understand, bro, I'm gonna ask questions. And most people think that they see when they are around me that they look at me as being smart in different areas. That when I ask a question, that I am being sarcastic or something. No, I'm asking a question because I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna
the
ask
same.
questions. If I don't understand something, I'm gonna ask questions. You know. Well, brothers and sisters, men and women, uh, this has been another episode of the Blueprint Reveal podcast. I'm your brother Fiji.
I'm your brother
Okay.
Blayland G.
And so, brother Blayland, we're gonna
Yes,
go on and
sir.
let you, man, get his clothes out, man. Give him your
Indeed.
closing wisdom, brother.
I got you. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching this episode. I hope that what we presented answered some questions, unlocked some keys in the mind, and I encourage you. If you have any questions about the blueprint or want better insight on something, there's an email below. Use that email. Hit us up. We will respond. That's a guarantee. And with that, I say plenty much love.
Love my brother, love my brother, love my brother. Thank you, brother, for always coming through, man. I want to thank the brothers and sisters throughout the whole country, man. I want to thank all of you, every man, every woman, every child, for all of your positive, your comments, whether they're positive or not. If it's something that you don't know, like the brother say, man, hit that email up. That's what we're here for. Hit the email up. Send in your comments. And also hit that like button. Hit that like button to get us up in the algorithm. Hit that like button so everybody can see this. And we need more people to start seeing what we're doing. We need, because we're giving you the truth. We ain't going to play with you. We're giving you the truth. And so next week, we're going to be on, let me see. Let me make sure now. Let me get here. This one here is going to
Freedom.
probably be, it's going to be on freedom.
Freedom.
Oh, okay, okay. We're going to be on freedom next week. The vision, freeing your dome. So now you're going to get the vision. We've went through the American trap. We went through the trap, an American dream. The next one is going to be freedom, the vision. How to obtain that freedom. And it's going to be through the vision. And on that note, we'd like to thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Peace.